Hi, Becky.
Hi, Luke. How are you? Good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's so good to have you on the Proper Property Podcast.
Thank you.
So, I want to dive into your story, but not straight into where you are now. Mm-hmm. Let's go back a little bit. What was life like before your current situation in property?
Yeah, so obviously my family have been in construction and property for between them about 30 years now. So they started off on several different projects. They've done a couple of JVs, which some were good, some were not so good, and done plenty of residential work for clients, things like that. But I kind of went the opposite way. So I think after I experienced or witnessed my parents experience a couple of sticky situations with JVs on some really big projects, to be fair, I was like, property is stressful. It's a lot of money. And the thought of that...
'Cause it's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it?
No. And I think people have this idea that it's untouchable. Like if it's a lot of risk. And I think people know that there's a lot of risk involved, but they don't think that anything can go wrong or it won't happen to them anyway. And my mum is if I'm like a positive person, mum brings me back down to earth a lot. And I think because she's experienced the other side of it. So if anything, she was like, don't get involved in property because it's too expensive. Play it safe. So I actually grew up around horses and my family didn't have a lot of money. So the way we afforded the horses was to set up like a livery yard and we'd look after other people's horses and it would cover our running costs of my horses. I'd buy horses cheap, train them and then flip them on basically like you would a house. So
Brilliant, love that.
So yeah, I did that for a little bit after school. I went into dog grooming for about 5 years. I then set up like a dog walking and pet sitting business. And I just wanted more money basically. And I think at the time I thought that success was about the balance on the paycheck. So I went into jobs that I absolutely hated, but they just paid me more money. So I went to work for Land Rover for a little bit. Hated it. And I hated the people that I worked with. I think I stayed there for like 2 months and then got a job at a customer service and sales team selling like shitty office supplies, basically. And stayed there, worked my way up. I became a manager for the team there and had several run-ins with the boss there because I think I started to miss the entrepreneurial side of it. And obviously when someone's telling you what to do all the time, and I'm quite a creative person, I would say, so I start thinking outside the box and they're very much like, why do you not fit into your pigeonhole? So we...
I see that a lot. and I had this very similar experience. Somebody that has that entrepreneurial spirit, they really do struggle to fit the norm of this is what you do, this is when you do it, and this is how you do it. And there's definitely a trend with the people that I've spoke to on the podcast and in networking events that are currently working for themselves or have their own business that have all gone through that exact same pattern. Yeah. Because we just, not that we're any different, but we have that creative mindset. Mm-hmm. We think outside the box and a lot of these companies that we work for, they're stuck in the mindset of, well, this is how we've always done it.
Yeah. And
when we try and change that for the greater good, not just for ourselves, but for the business, people butt heads.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that happens because like I run my own business now. And if somebody that works for me said, I've got an idea that's going to improve the business, I take it on board. And if it does improve the business or even improves their way of their day to day, not just improving the business, I take it on board. Yeah. But that's just a mindset thing. And the pattern that I've seen is that everybody that I've spoke to that does run their own business have all had this exact same thing. So yeah, it's refreshing that another person has solidified that this is how we are. Yeah, because I always thought maybe I'm odd. Maybe it's me.
I thought I was strange when I was working other jobs. So I thought maybe I'm really lazy. Maybe I've not got a good work ethic because I absolutely dread work. I can't imagine ever enjoying this.
Did you have anxiety going to work?
Oh, I hated it. Monday mornings and Sunday evenings would make me feel sick. And to be fair, I think because my parents have been self-employed for as long as I can remember, really, they didn't think about a pension, I think, when they first set it up. So I was very aware of that, probably about a year into me taking on this new job at the time. And my mum started sort of chatting a little bit about, you know, we need to be thinking about a pension. We're not getting any younger, like no pressure. So yeah, we started, I think, sort of talking between us about ideas in terms of I wasn't enjoying my job. I wanted to do something where I had more control and I could be more creative. She knew I wasn't happy. And then obviously she'd come to me with her issue. And I did have an interest in property, but she put me off it from what she'd experienced. And after we'd spoken about it, she was like, there's so many other things you could do in property though. You don't have to do what I did. So we then actually went on Simon Zucchi's like 3-day course thing. And I was reading loads and researching loads, finding out about all these different strategies. And I think then you realise actually you don't need a shit ton of money in the bank to buy property. And it was all of a sudden you had all these options, too many options, to be honest with you, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you get shiny penny syndrome and you start thinking everything's amazing. And obviously you need to niche down and just concentrate on one. But we did that for about a year and we're starting to kind of dabble in anything and everything really. And obviously because me and my mum were working together, we both had our own ideas as well. So it was like this massive spider diagram of ideas and we didn't know what we wanted to do. So we did that and I was still working my 9 to 5 and obviously mum still had her construction business with my dad. And I think eventually I just got to a point where I'd learned all the mindset stuff from all these different courses that we'd done. And I couldn't think back the other way. And it was like every single time I went to work, I just thought, what are you all doing? Like, are you not all really sad? And this is just going to be your entire life until you retire. Everyone was like counting down to retirement. And I was thinking, God, how sad.
And everyone's looking at you confused that you're saying this out loud.
And then it was like, oh, it's just, you know, that generation. I'm thinking, oh, must be. Maybe I'm just a lazy fucker. You know what I mean?
Well, I get it.
That's how it makes you feel, doesn't it? So I actually ended up, I think one day I just came home from work and I said to mum, I'm going to quit. She was like, I don't think that's a wise idea. Obviously, my mum, like you would.
You have to have someone, yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't listen. I just went back in. I was like, I'm going to hand in my notice. And I did. So I still worked my month's notice. And and then started brainstorming with mum what we were going to do. Obviously, we'd already had all these different ideas. And I was like, I had savings. I was prepared. I'd saved up I got over a year's worth of savings. So I knew it wasn't going to be instant. And I wasn't, I'd had other businesses before that. Even though I was very young, I still knew that it wasn't going to be an instant payoff. So I'd kind of prepared for that anyway. But I just said, I need the headspace just to go all in because I was put under so much pressure in my job at the time as well. I didn't have the headspace. So, we got thinking about what we could do and mum really wants another cash flowing business, which I thought was an amazing idea because construction's great, but it just brings in chunks of cash.
Yeah.
And that sounds amazing. But when you need just a consistent...
There's chunks of money coming in chunks, but the outgoings aren't chunks. They're consistently going out,
And it's that constant pressure because it's not like it's, constant returning work all the time. It's that pressure to keep getting new work in.
Yep.
Whereas obviously with sort of bread and butter, like pretty boring, consistent business, you've got constant, predictable cash flow. So that's what she wanted. And we settled on a lettings agency. But I said I wanted to do it completely differently because we'd been networking for about a year. I'd heard so many complaints about shitty letting agents and all valid. I'm not saying, landlords are ranting for absolutely no reason, but that's why I thought this is such an easy fix.
Well, that's one of the main reasons that I reached out to yourself because from what I've seen on your socials, you are a letting agent with a difference. Yeah. And that's so refreshing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and slag letting agents off because we can't tarnish them all with the same brush.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are shit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I get landlords come to me who have left their old agent to come to me. And again, you've got to be professional about it at the end of the day. But on average, the big corporates, you are just a number, you get forgotten about. And the people that are physically doing the work, they get paid regardless of whether your property performs or not.
Yep.
So going to someone that's independent, they're in the same boat with you. If that property is not paying you, it's not paying them either. Yep. So I think if you work with someone like that, then
Yeah.
you've both got incentive.
But again, it's a mindset and a bit of naivete. A lot of people think, well, they're a big high street chain, they're a big high street brand.
Safe.
I see, safe.
Safety in numbers.
They're going to be the best option.
Yeah.
But like you've just said, you're just a number.
Yeah.
Same with all the big companies. Oh, like I used to manage hotels. I worked at Hilton. Great. Hilton, safe.
Yeah.
I was just a number.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was just a number, even though I thought I had responsibility. I was just a number.
Yeah.
And it's the same with all the big companies. But trying to get that over to somebody who might be a little bit naive in thinking that using a smaller independent company isn't as safe, but it's actually quite the opposite. Yeah, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we've heard all sorts from landlords not getting paid rent, which is, standard. That's why you have
number one, right?
Why you have a buy-to-let, isn't it, or a HMO? You want to get paid the rent. Not getting paid the rent, maintenance markups, which to me, I was so boggled by it because I suppose having done it, although, tenants can be a headache and I get that. But with trades, if you're working with trades again and again, so what, you've had to pass the job on to one person, you're going to charge 20% on top. So to me, it was just crazy. And I suppose, again, being in a construction background, obviously we've got an in-house team. And I was looking at some of the invoices that landlords would send me and be like, is this normal? I'm like, no, it's not normal at all. And also, that's not going to fix the problem because all you need is a bit of silicone around the shower. Your roof is not going to collapse, I promise you. So even things like that, having the construction background and rather than just taking a random trade's word for it, because we all know that they can, if they think they can get away with something, some of them will try it on. You hope they don't, but obviously they do. And having someone there to sort of be that backstop before it makes it to the landlord, I think is important as well. So I try to be different anyway.
Well, you definitely come across that way. And again, that's exactly one of the reasons why everything you say on your post is refreshing. I agree with it. And 9 times out of 10, and again, I'm not tarnishing all letting agents, but 9 times out of 10, when I see posts from other letting agents, I kind of don't buy it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Salesy.
Yeah. And not that I don't trust it, but I just kind of see through it. Maybe because I've seen behind the curtain as well, being in the industry.
Yeah.
But when I looked at your posts and reels and stuff, I didn't get that feeling. And I thought, that's exactly what everybody should be doing.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah. So how long has this business been going now? Tell us more about that.
We started February last year.
Wow.
So not too long.
Yeah.
But obviously, like I say, I've had tons of sort of background experience from my family previously. They had a couple of, like I say, JVs previously, actually back in 2008, which not a great time, but you can't always predict these things.
No.
And they were pretty big projects. So, they had, let me try and think of the numbers. I think it was 58 apartments in Grantham and 36 in Peterborough.
Yeah.
So they were working with JVs to basically develop these blocks. And this must have been around about 2006, 2007 kind of time, different JV partners. And there was several things that went wrong on the Grantham one. So they had like a roof fire, which took out the most expensive apartments. And my mum's signature got forged on a PG as well, which luckily it nearly went to court and then they pulled out last minute. And then obviously there was the financial crash. And at the same time, their solicitor hadn't registered the shares correctly for the Peterborough project with their JVs, and they walked away with all the profit, and mum and dad just got the cost of works with no profit on top. So obviously I witnessed that, which I think as well is why I then sympathise with developers and landlords who are just trying to run a business. And a lot of them do, you still have values where you value the tenants and you value the customers, but you always get tarnished with this, like landlords are all, all out for themselves and they're just greedy. And I hear greedy landlord all the time from tenants, and it's so frustrating when you've been on the other side of it. And I just think you have absolutely no idea the amount of stress and the amount of money that this costs. So I think, even having sort of that background to then understand where landlords come from when they're saying...
I think it's all down to education. Like I always say, if at school we were taught about leveraging money about tax, about mortgages, about everything that incomparable to what did we get taught? Pythagoras theorem.
I use that in my life.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get taught so much, in my opinion, useless stuff. Whereas if everybody was taught how to leverage money and leverage debt, and that debt is actually, it can be a really good thing.
Yeah. There's different types of debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, especially my experience, I don't know how old you are, but when I was at school and when I was growing up, it was all about debt is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Debt is bad. in that broad of a term. Go to school, get your GCSEs, go to college, go to work, get a house, get a mortgage, pay it off, retire, get your pension and die.
Yeah.
That was it. And there's so many people still stuck in that mindset. And in that mindset, there was also get a mortgage because you don't want to rent because landlords are greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that a lot of people are still stuck in that mindset, but it's completely wrong.
Yeah.
It's completely wrong. Like, mortgages are great.
Yeah.
That's a good debt.
I've never worked with a bad landlord. I mean, obviously there are the ones out there. Clearly they don't work with me, but I don't think...
That says a lot about your agency.
Yeah. Like, you know, obviously we have our business values and I won't work with anyone that doesn't match that.
Yeah.
Because there is a responsibility to provide, you know, decent standard of housing to tenants, and it works both ways. But if you're going to give a decent standard of housing to a tenant, you expect the respect back from the tenant as well.
Yeah.
So I also get backlash from, I either get backlash from crappy landlords or I get backlash from crappy tenants who wonder why I'm asking about their bank statements and things like that and whether they're going to pay rent or not. So yeah, I suppose, you know, it works both ways, but that's our job at the end of the day, is to be the middleman between the two and keep everything running as smooth as possible. So
is this business you and your mum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a team with you as well, or is it pretty much just you and your mum?
Pretty much just me and my mum.
Yeah.
Would love to expand and get a team sort of later this year, next year. But again, I think that's like control freak element of it, where I'm like, everything needs to be systemized and SOP'd up to the hills.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably still be micromanaging. Like, yeah, there's no tomorrow.
I outsourced and got teams in far too late because I couldn't let go.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my business, not getting the help. Because when I finally did need the help, it had built so big that it took 6 months to an SOP it and train everybody out. And now that I've got the team, I'm still a bit of a micromanager. Yeah. And I know I am, and I'm really bad at it, and I'm trying to be better, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
When it's your baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you work so hard to build it to what it is. And then you get this kind of, you know, you build your reputation and you develop a certain level of respect in the industry. And it only takes one person to mess it up.
Yeah.
But then that looks bad on you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know it's a risk you take, but I would like to eliminate it as much as possible.
100%. It's good that, I mean, when I first started the Airbnb management business that I've got, Stay or Save, was just myself. So it was all in here, if that makes sense. Whereas the Olive Venture Properties and the podcast that I do with Johnny, there's obviously two of us, so that's a lot easier to kind of, and like yourself, you're with your mum as well, so there's two of you there rather than just one. It is going to be a lot easier. So what does a day-to-day look like in this business? Do you have set roles? Do you do one side of the business in your
So I don't know. Have you ever heard of the Wealth Dynamics test?
No.
So we did this when I did my training with Simon Zucci, and it's like a personality test, but you all have to do it. And me and my mum are actually separate ends of the spectrum, which works amazing. So we've both got the same goal, but we've got different ways of getting there. So I'm a lot more creative. I tend to do anything like, obviously, all the marketing side of things. I tend to do all the calls with landlords, all the marketing, things like that, basically. And mum does all of the sort of admin side of it. Mum loves a spreadsheet. Anything boring to me,
You've just described me and Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny's the marketer. Johnny's the people that does the talking. Johnny's the one that kind of says, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm the one that says, we can't afford to do that.
That's my mum, yeah.
Yeah.
Sees all the accounts, so she go, absolutely not.
Do you know how much you've spent this month?
So it works because we're never treading on each other's toes.
Yeah.
But we're both trying to get to the same place at the same time.
And it works really well. I know that dynamic works really, really well with me and Johnny. So the fact that you've just described that you're on the opposite sides of that wealth dynamic spectrum and it works so well, I'm sure if we did that, we'd be on the opposite sides as well. So, and it works really, really well because you kind of, you don't clash. You go into you're going on the same direction and you both bring in a different skill set.
Yeah.
Is that what you find as well?
100%. And I think it's difficult when it's a family business as well. It adds another layer to it where things can go from business to personal, and almost there is that risk of almost losing that family relationship by making it a business relationship. But I think because like even I don't work physically in the same room as Mum either. We're both in separate places. I might go to the gym and go to the cafe there and work, and then Mum will, she has a home office that she works in, and we never work in the same place. So I think even having that dynamic where we're separate, and then when we need to see each other, we see each other, and then when we go out, that's family time. And that
was one of my questions.
Yeah.
When it's family time.
Yeah.
Is there a strict rule of no business?
I wish there was, but both of us struggle. I think because it's our passion and that's what we are just so focused on right now, it's difficult to even know what else to talk about. Yeah. And also I think when you're so involved in it and you're really just, all you really care about is just getting this thing going and making it as good as it could possibly be. And both of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So if we're going to do anything, it's going to be to like the highest standard there is. So yeah, it gets spoken about still when we go out. I think there was a loose rule initially where we weren't going to, and then one of us kind of nudged it over the line a little bit, and then it just kind of escalated.
It's hard though, isn't it? As you say.
And when you enjoy it as well, it doesn't feel like work. So
it's a hobby.
Yeah.
A long hobby. What's the word? And a hobby that lasts the hobby that you do every single day.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle choice.
You get paid for it. Yeah. So obviously the social media aspect, you're very much the face of the business.
Yeah, we started out initially, we shared it, we had a joint account, and my mum hates being on camera. So
that was one of my questions because it's very much you.
Yeah.
I've not seen much of your mum. And
it's not until we go to meet landlords and then my mum will be there from, say if they need a refurb and she's project managing the entire thing, they're like, oh, I didn't realise it was two of you. I'm like, yeah, she absolutely hates being on camera. But to speak to, she's meeting people, she's amazing. And obviously she's got, 30 years of experience and she knows it off the top of her head. It's just, to her, it's so easy. But obviously people are used to seeing me from social media and think that I've got all this knowledge. But at the end of the day, it's about working with people that are better than you. That's, in my opinion anyway. You can't 100%. Be amazing at everything. The same as Mum wouldn't know how to market a property or reference tenants and things like that. Whenever she has had to, say if I've been out for the day and she needs to do something that I would normally do, she gets very stressed.
But again, and that's why the opposite ends of the spectrum, which we've discussed, work so well. I couldn't do 90% of what Johnny does, and Johnny couldn't do 90% of what I do. Yeah. And that's fine. Yeah. That's absolutely fine.
That's a team, isn't it? Yeah. You don't want several of the same kind of person. Yeah. So yeah, initially we started doing it together, and I think before we really knew what direction we were going in, I think she was fine with it. And then when there was more pressure to really start nailing our niche and kind of what we were going to be as a brand, it just came clear that I was just going to take it over myself.
And are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think definitely was an adjustment to begin with. I'm actually quite introverted as a person. So people assume that I'm super confident because I'm on camera or I'm on social media. And don't get me wrong, I'm confident, I think, internally in myself. But when it comes to, speaking, like public speaking, I've done a few public speaking events now, but it still makes me nervous.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same. People say, no, you're right, confident. I'm like, I'm not. Yeah. No
one believes me.
I hate being sat here. Yeah. I hate going on Facebook. I hate all the posts that I put on, but it's part of the business.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just work. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You need to, have the courage to spread what you do, otherwise no one's going to know. Yeah. So yeah, I basically take one for the team when it comes to doing that for my family. So yeah, but Mum is still very much, involved. She's very much behind the scenes, and then I'll just take the hit. If I say something controversial, I also take the hit. So I think also it works both ways where if there was anything controversial and there was any backlash from mum's perspective as well, I would probably get a bit more irate about that rather than when it's just me.
Has there been any controversy on social media?
TikTok is a big one.
Yeah.
I think because a lot of it is tenants, and when you empathise with a landlord, there is a lot of backlash from like, you know, all poor landlords and things like that. And it is just ignorance at the end of the day. And I understand the frustration when you've had a bad experience as well. Like I get it. And you're not going to know the other side of it if you've not experienced a good landlord. But at the same time, there is a lot of just plain ignorance from, I think, people with money or people that are perceived to have money as well, that there's definitely a chip on people's shoulders who are struggling and don't realise that actually, even if you own property, you're still struggling.
I found that on social media, any post that mentions money gets a really big drive of views, attention, and negative feedback.
Yeah.
Even when we're not boasting about money, we're just talking about money.
Yeah.
People just jump on it. And I think that might be right, whether that's a chip on a shoulder or ignorance or jealousy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of it is jealousy. And I know it probably sounds horrible to say it, but it's just, I think the reality is when people are struggling to buy their own houses and, you know, whether they're struggling to get jobs or earn a decent amount of money, at the same time, I meet a lot of people that are doing really well as tenants, and they're also really happy that they don't want to buy their own property because they just like to, either they like moving around and trying different places to find where they want to live, or they just like having someone else fix everything when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I find a lot of people think that anybody that owns property or works in the property industry must have inherited it.
Yes.
They must have just been born with a silver spoon.
Yeah.
When in actual fact, the majority of people that I work with or that I've spoken to in property haven't inherited it. They've worked fucking hard.
Yeah. I think when you inherit something as well, you've got to know how to keep it.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
I know a lot of people that could inherit £2 million and it'd be gone the day after.
Exactly.
And with nothing to show for it.
There's something in, you know, like teaching someone to fish, basically, to feed themselves rather than give them a fish.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same in property. It doesn't matter how much you're given. If you don't know how to maintain it or invest it and grow it, then you're going to lose it, no matter what you start with. Yeah. And I think it is just a mentality as well about whether that be, you know, spending and things like that. And there's plenty of tenants that I see that come and see me that will turn up in a really flash car and then plead poverty. And I'm like, doesn't really add up. You need to pay your rent.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot more information available to tenants nowadays. And
AI and it's so easy now.
Yeah, it's so easy for them to find out the information and to build, what's the word, a line of communication to back themselves up using ChatGPT, to use the loopholes to take advantage.
Yeah.
And from my experience, the only people that really get affected and hurt by that are the landlords.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously the government at the minute is very heavy, you know, with the renters' rights coming in on making sure that, you know, tenants get a fair shot. And I don't disagree with some of the stuff that they've brought in. As long as you're a decent landlord, it shouldn't really be much different.
No.
But there are certain things like, you know, the court process is incredibly slow. So relying on a Section 8, for example, to get a bad tenant out is just, it's going to cost so much money to the landlord. And it's not about wanting to kick people out just willy-nilly. It was just basically to get rid of that whole process so that you could get them out quicker and it doesn't cost you so much money.
Yeah.
And I think tenants forget you've still got to pay a mortgage and that's what the rent covers.
Yeah.
And yeah, people just think, I think money just comes out of thin air. But
I don't think they forget it. I just don't think it even crosses their mind.
No.
That the person that they're paying rent to, it's not all going into their pocket.
No.
They're not spending that £900 rent on a flashy car.
Yeah.
They're paying mortgage, they're paying insurance, they're paying this, they're paying that. Out of that £900, they might see £200.
Yeah.
If they're lucky.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But they don't see that. And I don't know if that's don't know if they're forgetting that, but I think you've said it earlier. I think there's a lot of ignorance and uneducatedness because going back to what I said, we're not taught that at school.
No.
We're taught Pythagoras theorem and how to grow cress.
Yeah.
And what happens if you put cress in a dark room and a light room? Why?
I think as well, it's like anything as well. It's like if you're at school and you're seen as being a bit different, then you get picked on for being different and not fitting in. And I think if you break outside of that mold where it's like, this is what we're meant to do. And if you do anything but that, we've got free will. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
But if you choose to do something that's not what everyone else does, then you're a problem. And I think that's how people differentiate between who's a good person and who's apparently a bad person. And landlords fit into obviously that entrepreneurial type a lot of the time, like you say, unless it is inherited. But most of the landlords I speak to, they're all self-made. And they invest in lots of things. It's, whether it be property. And at the end of the day, you're not really making much money from property. And I think people know that. You've got to have a business as well that's cash flowing.
Yeah.
That's, again, another ignorant, I think, opinion from people that aren't educated in the sector is that if you've got property, you must be rich and you must be absolutely raking it in every single month. And it means that you can afford loads and you're getting, this magical 10K a month that everyone talks about. When actually it's a business that's going to do that. It's not the property. The property is storing it, granted. But how's that liquid for you to actually use?
Well, it's asset rich.
Yeah.
Cash very poor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Literally
and I think
is,
people
isn't it?
realise that when you buy a property and then think, oh crap, how am I actually going to get money every month?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is definitely, I think, a lack of education. And I don't think the government necessarily helps that opinion by fueling this narrative. But at the same time, don't get me wrong, I think tenants did need more protection from the few landlords that were bad, because also a lot of the bad landlords were big organisations. So it's not always just the one-off landlords. A lot of them are, they're bigger beasts than I think what people realise they actually are. But again, it's sort of, if you don't see a person, you've got no one to point the finger at and blame.
And it just goes back to what we touched on earlier with the bigger companies and the smaller independent.
Yeah.
You get a different experience. You get a different relationship. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get a better product and a better home from your single landlords, the small portfolio landlords, rather than your corporate portfolio landlords, as you just touched on there. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
So where do you see your business in the next, I don't know. So you've been 2 years, are you 2 years old? Less than?
Less than, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to 5 years. Where do you see yourself?
5 years. I would love to, to be honest as well, get into business buying and start to, marketing is great and I love marketing, but it's slow. So I would love to take on an agency and make it into Amherstify it basically in our values. And I think we're definitely trying to focus a lot on HMOs as well, which obviously there is the cash flow perspective, but I also see a lot of bad HMOs. And we want to do that.
Bad HMOs?
Never. So yeah, again, it's trying to apply those kind of high standards to meet kind of what we want the business to be.
Yeah.
I'd love a team like you were talking about. I need to get over that for myself. But I would love to be able to just breathe a little bit and outsource that to a team that, again, have the same values. No one's going to care as much about your business as you do. And I understand that completely. But if they could just care enough that they do a good job,
that's it.
That's all I care about.
That's it. And I've always said, if you look after the people that you're entrusting to look after your business, they'll look after your business.
Exactly.
I've worked for enough, you've already touched on it, I've worked for enough dickheads to know how to not treat somebody in my team. Yeah. And I think from what you've said in your previous career, you've worked for enough horrible people.
Exactly.
To know how to not treat people. So, and I think people that have gone through that and then developed their own business, I'd like to think that they would treat their staff differently, if that makes sense. not everybody's
I
like
think you
that.
do need that experience to understand the other side of it as well. I think if you went straight from school and just like, I'm going to be this entrepreneur because it looks great on TikTok, actually you wouldn't know how to manage people.
I think they're the ones that turn into like Superman villains in the movies. You know what I mean? School, no life experience, start up a successful business.
Yeah.
Inevitably, you're going to be a dickhead.
Yeah. And also, business is hard. And I don't think the reality is set out like that as well, where I think people just see this, you know, end goal and think that happened within a week.
Yeah.
And they give up before you even get to the point of seeing any kind of level of success from whatever you've created. So yeah, I think there's a massive misconception about that. And when someone is doing well, okay, yeah, someone's earning loads of money from their business. You didn't see the like 10 years before that where they were slogging their guts out.
I've got a quick question on that before we wrap it up, because we're 40 minutes in. Would you? I see a lot of people. No, I don't see a lot of people. I speak to a lot of people that have experienced the same thing as me. So I've obviously gone from a 9 to 5. I've set up my own business. I've got a couple of businesses, got a podcast. All the people that praise me and like all my stuff online are people I've never met.
Yeah.
My friends or family, very little.
Really?
Okay. Do you see that similar trend?
Do you know what? My circle's really small. And it's small on purpose because I'm a bit like Marmite, I think, in my personal life, where I keep, you know, I've got my partner, my parents, and then a small group of friends, and they're super supportive. Anyone outside of that isn't going to support, I don't really have the time of day for. But also there are a lot of strangers within the industry that I've never met them before. I've never even spoken to them before. And they're like my number one cheerleader.
I've got a few number one cheerleaders that I've never met before. I know one day we'll meet in the social circles, but they comment on everything. They congratulate me on everything.
Yeah.
They see when I'm doing well and say,
followed that journey. They feel like they've got that investment into it. Yeah.
Then I'll have a conversation with a really good friend of mine or even a family member, and they've no idea that even happened.
I've had conversations with family members that we're not that close, and they still ask me if I'm dog grooming. I'm like, I've not done that since I was like 20.
It's crazy, isn't it? But my social circle is a lot smaller nowadays off the back of that.
I think everyone says that, don't they? Everyone that has, you know, that entrepreneurial streak and they go into their own business, suddenly that circle gets really small.
Yeah. I think it goes from a circle where you're giving out a lot of energy to a lot of people to now it's small and I'll give out the energy to people that give energy back. Yes. That's how I see it now.
Yeah. All of my friends now they're very much like if they see a lettings board of ours out on the street, they'll all send me a voice note or text me and, you know, cheer me on and that kind of thing. And I'm lucky that I'm surrounded by people that are like that. But don't get me wrong, it's not a huge amount of people. And I think that's the difference. It's whether you want to be a people pleaser and use your energy in keeping God knows how many people happy, or whether you want to just focus on the people that also give back to you as much as you give to them.
Completely agree.
And yeah, I think that's the best way to be honest.
I completely agree. So you mentioned your lettings boards.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I find a lettings board of yours? Where are you currently based?
So we mostly cover Nottingham. We have got a couple branching out in sort of Leicestershire and sort of our side of Lincolnshire. But yeah, we mostly focus on Nottingham.
Cool. How many boards are around now? Is it growing?
To be fair, we've got none on the market so far. Everything's been let.
Yeah,
so if you get yourself a good property manager, then
that's
everything will be full. So,
brilliant.
So yeah, we actually need to take one more down.
So if anybody in the Nottingham area, Leicestershire area, outside of Lincolnshire area, has a property they want to let, or if anyone wants to find you on social media or learn more about what it is you do, look into that camera, tell them how they can find you and what you can provide them.
Yeah, so my name's Becky Clarke. I post Monday to Friday on LinkedIn. My social handle on Instagram is Becky_Clarke_property. And just message me on there and I'll be happy to help anyone that wants it.
Fabulous. Yeah, please do check out her page, social medias. It's really good content. I love following Becky's journey. There's some really good content on there, and she's really, really good at what she does. So if you do need a property letting in that area, she's the one. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.